have you ever seen a play of one of your novels?
I have actually. I
Yeah?
have. I've been so lucky. Yeah, I
And
have.
where was this?
It was with Prayers for the Stolen.
Mm-hmm.
So this company did it in Paris,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just beautiful, beautiful. And then the National Theater Company of Mexico did it here in Mexico City. I liked some of it and some of it not as much.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said to you, I also am very much aware that it becomes the creation of somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
What's very cool is that Prayers for the Stolen is being made into a movie already. They're filming, and the producers of Roma are doing it.
Really? That's great.
And Gun Love has already been sold, and it's been sold to Nick Wechsler, who did The Road, the Cormac McCarthy
Oh,
movies,
wonderful.
The Road, and Sex, Lies, and Videotape. Do you remember that
Yes, of
movie?
course.
He did that. But you know, how many people are in the play?
Well,
Or are you everybody?
me for the longest stretch.
Uh-huh.
And then for the last 2 minutes, there'll be a surprise. And when you saw your play in Paris, I mean, the adaptation of your novel, was that in French then?
It was. It was in French.
And what was that like for you, hearing your words in a
Well, I
different
just started
language?
to cry. I mean, it was so weird to see people that I had created walking and talking and breathing and living. That was the first time I saw it was in Paris. And it was the most extraordinary experience
Mm-hmm.
to see people that I had created alive. You know?
Yeah.
It was an exquisite thing. They're going to do it in Rome in 2020.
Oh,
I'm
wonderful.
so happy because it's so special. The one in Mexico, I mean, as you can see from my work, I mean, I very rarely do graphic sex scenes or
Mm-hmm.
graphic violence scenes. It's very violent and it can be very sexual, but it's also very contained,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And the Mexican play, I mean, it was so graphically sexual and even naked,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it was like gratuitous. It was
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I didn't feel that we needed to see, you know, practically pornography on the stage,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, interesting because, we talked a lot about it with this novel, and because it's like there's music playing over, very soft and pretty music playing over an image that is very violent. That's what it is like for me a little bit. So
Yeah.
when you do it on the stage, you can't, you don't have the same tools as you have in a novel. So you have to find, or my wish was that we would find a way to show the pain but still use the beauty of the words, which is it's hard to bring it together. I hope that we found a way to transport the part of the novel that is that is angry also and violent. I don't know. I was wondering, did you feel a lot of rage while you were writing that story? Or how did you feel when you were writing it?
I think what I find, I feel like an indignation. I think that is like my sort of fundament. I think it's just horrible that all these kids have to do drills. I think that, the terrible violence in Mexico that's fueled by these guns, it's just like I don't think of it as like rage so much as just, there's also a part of me that just can't even comprehend it. I think part of writing it is to try to understand, how can this be?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not answering this very well, actually.
Well, I guess it's a hard thing to sort of even realize how you're feeling when you're writing it, I guess, because while you're writing it, you're so deep into it, I would imagine. But like, I was wondering, like, how did you feel when you were done writing for the day and you would, I don't know, well, how do you write? Do you write like during the daytime, or are you a night owl, or how do you write? In the morning?
Before the sun rises, early in the morning. So, what happens to me is that a voice comes. So the first line that came to me was, me, I live in a car.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised in a car,
Mm-hmm.
which is so cool in in the
In the
teaser.
trailer, yeah.
That when it turns into black and white and everything, it's so powerful. But yeah, it was Pearl's voice. So me, but this like daredevil, strong me. I was raised in a car. Once I had that voice, she just took me over.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a profound relationship and a feeling of almost being spoken, like the voice is in me.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, my mother was a cup of sugar. You could borrow her anytime. Once I heard that, to me, that's a song lyric.
Mm-hmm.
Once I heard that line, I mean, I can hear the guitar strum right after that line,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started to realize, oh, I'm writing a song.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Eli, of course, completely speaks like a song lyric.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we don't want to give away the end. But
Yeah.
I mean, I had to really think so deeply about, could Pearl kill?
Yeah.
You know, and that was I had to really, really work that book so that she could. And of course she has help. The only way she could really do it. And so she has this help of the spirits of the Native Indian people and of all the blues singers who have sang the blues,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the divine intervention from those ladies.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I realized, okay, she can kill him. She can do it.
You wanted her to be able to, it seems like.
Well, I don't know about you, but I love revenge. I think it's like such a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted her to have her revenge, you know.
Yeah.
That she lost her beautiful mother.
She's so lustful doing it, too.
Sorry?
She's so lustful doing it. The revenge is like lustful for her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was a lot of fun to write that scene.
Yes, I can tell.
To just get it just right, you know.
Mm-hmm. And in that scene also, it's really like a Western showdown.
I think so.
Yeah, like high noon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of fun to read.
Yeah. And he was dying again and again on the floor.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Poor Eli.
Poor Eli.
And another thing
so
I was...
basically you're doing it as a monologue.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's fun for me too, you know, because in a monologue you can go so deep into like a dialogue. Also, I feel like I'm in a dialogue with you also, you know, because really. And it's eerie because it's only happened one other time for me when I was playing Käthchen von Heilbronn by Heinrich von Kleist. I don't know if you know him. He's a little bit like a German Shakespeare. And,
no, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a wonderful role. And we did his play with we didn't cut anything out, which made it 5 hours long. Yeah. But
and you had to hold that for 5 hours.
Yes, we did. But it was also such an intense, it was like a dialogue with him, and, you know, he's long gone. But I felt like because I had, you know, dived so deep into the character and to his text that I could really, it was like talking to him. So it's strange. It's like, you know, across oceans and across time, you can still be talking to someone by thinking about the same things that they were thinking about. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah. I really like that kind of communication.
Yeah.
We'll see if you feel that way too when you see it.
Oh, I'm sure. I know it's going to be great.
Why you chose Florida? Why did you set it in Florida and not in a state that, because Florida doesn't share a border with Mexico, right?
Right. Okay. Well, and it's really interesting that you asked this question, because one of the things that for me has been so strange about all the literary criticism around the book, even though it's had great, incredible reviews, nobody has talked about the native people. Mm-hmm. So for me, I didn't care about Florida. I didn't put it in Florida to have, you know, the Weird Florida, a book about Weird Florida, which now I realize, because I don't live in the States, that a lot of people sort of hooked into that part of the book. But I wanted to have that very famous march of the Trail of Tears. Mm-hmm. And these are the Timucua Indians. And so they were all pushed toward Oklahoma, and they walked the Trail of Tears. And when Corazon says to Pearl, when Margot dies, it was a good day to die. In the last great massacre, when Indians were running towards the last battle, and the cry was, it's a good day to die. Because you can't do anything against a gun. I mean, these are bows and arrows, spears against guns. And actually the DNA of the Second Amendment is the genocide of the Native Americans. I mean, it goes much deeper than the militia and all that. It's the permission to kill a whole people and take their land. And you see this in South Africa with the Zulus. There's art of the spear and the gun. You go to the tribal areas of India, and it's the same. There are all these paintings. To this day, they're still drawing them of, the bow and arrow against the rifle. So for me, it was important that we go deep into the Native American experience of being the genocide by gun of the people. And then we have the prophet, who's like a Tiresias figure, who gets on the bus. And then she says the only time there's a dirty word in the whole book, you like little fuck song,
Yeah.
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 And that's the only time the word fuck appears in the book.
Yeah.
And she can see that she's full of, Billie Holiday, and she's full of Nina Simone, and she's full of all this music, and she can see it, in So, and then the spirits of the Native American people allow her to kill. They carry her, they hold her. So it wasn't because of Florida. And then I wanted to go to have all the Selena Quintanilla stuff. And I wanted to enter Mexico through Laredo, because that's also symbolic, because it's the Lincoln Benito Juarez bridge, the two great men of civil rights for both countries. So it's a bridge with great symbolism. But even more than that is because of Selena. And so, I tried to figure out, how could the Indians be there, and how could Selena be there, and how could they enter Mexico, maybe through Laredo, where there's also massive gun shows there. Like some of the biggest gun shows occur in Laredo. So eventually the trip kind of formed. And then I realized, okay, I can place the foster home scene in Sarasota. And then, of course, I've been to that museum, which is delirious. And then I have those Siamese, the real Siamese twins that are so famous. And that links back to the alligator Siamese twins. It's when you're writing a book, it's like making a tapestry. So you're pulling threads and knotting and pulling threads and knotting, So, so I ended up seeing that the road trip could work like that.
And you're quite immersed in Spanish then, aren't you? Like you speak it every day, and you're totally bilingual. Did you grow up Spanish too?
Yeah, I moved here when I was 6 months old.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know. Okay, and do you also write do you write novels in Spanish too?
Not very much. No, not novels. I mean, I do some writing in Spanish. I'm very much involved in the translation into Spanish, but I did go to a British school in Mexico.
Oh, okay.
And it was a very strict British education. So most of us who went to that school, including the children of Gabriel Garcia Marquez, we all preferred to mostly do it in English because it was so, now that school is bilingual. But when we went, there was no sort of Ministry of Education in Mexico. So if you could, you would go to the German school, the Swiss school. There is a Swiss school. The French school, the British school, the American school. You tried to find a school that had a good program. So for many of the sort of artists and intellectuals in Mexico, they sent their children to this British school. So that's where I went.
Ah, okay. And do you find too that you have...
Then I went to New York University.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
And do you feel more American or Mexican?
Sort of like everything and nothing.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I know that feeling. My mom's American and my father's Swiss, and I grew up in Switzerland. But because my mother was such a strong influence and our house was more like an American people's house, I feel like I'm also from both places and from nowhere, and also language-wise.
Yeah. So we're very similar in that. Yeah.
And it was a big thing for us here for the play because, deciding to do it in English was a big step.
Shocked.
Yeah,
yes. Kat was really shocked.
Yeah, I know.
But maybe we can give credit to the translator.
Yes.
Did you take the translation from the book?
Yes, we're having subtitles.
Yeah.
And the subtitles are the translation from the book.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Lovely. Yeah. He did a good job.
Yes, but it was just, we would read pages from the novel and then read the German translation, and there are just so many consonants in German.
Oh, how interesting. That was the reason?
Well, the reason is just that it sounded much better in English, but the reason for that, I think, is just the consonant. Your language is it's very wavy and it's very melodic. And all of the metaphors, and it's just, it is like music. And the German consonants, they're so brash, they're like sticks in a wheel.
How interesting.
That's how it felt for almost all of us.
Interesting. I thought the decision had been made because of the music, that you were planning to put in music.
No.
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 Oh, okay.
Not for me.
I don't know who told me that. That's
well, I don't know. Maybe it was different for someone else, but for me, it was that. Yeah, it was. Because it's just the images and also it's just this was also, we talked about it a lot. It's just a very American novel with a very American topic. And
it's true.
And it was just.
Most people in Switzerland will be able to handle the English with the subtitles.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. But still you have to think about, even if you're doing it in English, you have to think about what, how is an audience here going to watch a story about something that's so inherently American,
Yeah,
it's interesting, and I don't know what it'll be like for people, because for me, coming from half of me coming from America, I read it differently than someone would here who's not.
Exactly.
But we also, when I'm rehearsing it and thinking about it, and thinking about which pieces really to take out for the play, we tried to concentrate more on the personal, maybe say it like that, than the political, and really make it like it was so personal for her, for this character, that it could be so how the personal can be the most universal thing.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yes. Totally.
So I hope that will happen.
Yeah.
It's so funny that you should really give such a big meaning to the Indians, because that was a real big turning point for me during the rehearsals, because I was researching. I was really trying to find what for me could be like the core of the novel, the essence, and I for this Pearl character, and I was researching about the Timucua just at the beginning, just because I didn't know how to pronounce it. And then I was finding stuff on YouTube and stuff about other tribes. And I found this video about Apache coming of age rituals for Indian girls, for Native American girls.
Yeah,
I know. And then I was watching this and I thought, Pearl didn't have any of this. Pearl really did not. That she doesn't have a tribe, and she wishes so much for a tribe, and suddenly I just felt so lost for her,
That's when the foster, the social worker says, "How can a family be this small?"
Yeah. How can there be so many just 2-person families? Yeah. And I feel.
And where's the tribe? If you're a 2-person family, there's no tribe. Yeah. That's so beautiful.
Yeah. And I can really
it's
do
also
that.
what gives her the strength, as I said, to do what she has to do.
Yeah.
And then her mother is always, like, they're coming. I can feel them.
Yes. Yeah.
The killing of the Siamese alligators. That's symbolic of the mother and the daughter. It's the war. It's the, how in Greek tragedy there's always the Annunciation. One thing that I love about literature and plays is what is it about us human beings that we don't mind knowing the story.
Mm-hmm.
We don't care if we know the end. We don't care if we've seen it. We can see Macbeth 25 times. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and sometimes we like it better if we know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we're not bothered by, there's so many people that think there has to be suspense and surprise. And actually, we don't really need suspense and surprise, you know?
Yeah, that's so cool. I'm so excited because I'm not going to tell you this, but it starts in a way that it ends our play. So we'll see.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, thanks for taking the time, Jennifer.
Oh, are you kidding? It's my pleasure. So, well, good luck with the rehearsal.
Thanks.
And I'll see you in Zurich after the
We
play.
will. Yes, we will.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Break a leg.
Thanks. See you soon. Bye.
Thank you.